Assalamu alaikum. It is Mubaraka, and we are here for day 3 talking about water fast. Let me see if I can get my Insta people on here. All right. Hopefully Insta people will join us very soon. So we are on day 3 of our water fast. And as I promised before, I am coming back to give you an update. And today we are going to talk about ways in which we want to break an extended fast. So if you have been following me for the last few days, then you know that I have been doing a 3-day water fast to reset my system, to get a little autophagy, which is cellular detox, and to just to get myself back into what I consider balance. I've been feeling a little unbalanced lately. And so a water fast is something that I do generally every season. I'm a little early for my fall water fast, but I felt like my body needed it. For a lot of different reasons, right? You may be going through a stressful situation. You may be off your eating pattern, whatever that is. So today we are going to talk about one, what happens on day 3, and what am I going to eat when I do break my fast, and what is recommended and why. All right, if you are just joining me, my name is Mubaraka Ibrahim, and I am your health and happiness coach. And if you believe that physical, mental, and spiritual well-being is intertwined, and the weakness of one weakens them all, and the strengthening of one strengthens them all, then welcome. You have found your tribe, because here on the Fit Muslimah platform, we talk about food, faith, and fitness and how those things are intertwined. And for the last 3 days, we have been talking about the benefits of doing an extended fast. So just a quick recap. Remember when we talk about intermittent fasting, we're talking about fasts that last for 24 hours or less. But when we're talking about extended fasts, we're talking about fasting that you do for more than 24 hours. So I have been doing a 3-day fast. Today is day 3 for me. I think I'm somewhere on hour 62, maybe. I think I'm on hour 62. Of my 72-hour fast, something like that, maybe a little bit more. And so let's see. So in full transparency, last night I did not sleep well, right? And I'm sure it's because my body is doing all kind of stuff, right? It's detoxing, it's creating cells, it's getting rid of old cells, it's burning fat. And so I was up tossing and turning probably for about an hour, like maybe like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I was tossing and turning. I played some Quran to try to see if I can get myself to go to sleep. That actually did not work. It normally works, but it actually did not work. So I just kind of like tossed and turned until I fell back asleep, because I actually went to bed at about 10 p.m., which is my normal bedtime. Yes, I have a bedtime. I am a grown woman. I have a bedtime, and I suggest you get one too. We're going to talk about sleep habits at some point, but having a designated time in which you try to go to bed, even on the weekends, is actually important for setting your circadian rhythm. But that's about sleep. Today, we're talking about fasting. So today is day 3 for me. And this morning, I think I just missed the habit of having coffee in the morning. I didn't have coffee. I've been trying to stick to water as much as possible. I had 1 cup of coffee yesterday, as I was talking to you about how coffee has been shown to actually increase autophagy inside of during an intermittent fast. So I had 1 cup of black coffee, no cream, no sugar substitutes. Okay. That was yesterday. So today I'm really going to try to stick to water. My energy level is fine. Like, I plan on probably going for a walk or a light jog a little bit later after I'm done with a couple of coaching clients. but my energy is like fine. I think most people think like, oh, you're going to be dying on day 3 or day 5 or however long, but you actually really don't lose too much energy. Your body is an amazing machine, right? If you take nothing away from this, it should be trust your body. It can heal itself. It is an amazing machine. All right, so what is happening on day 3 on a cellular level? This is when autophagy, when we talked about how the only true detox is the self-detoxing of the cells called autophagy. And autophagy is the cellular recycle, repair, renewal, and replenishment of all of our cells, right? When we are on day 3 of a water fast, this is when autophagy is maxing out. So if my goal for this fast is to replenish my cells, to experience the highest amount of autophagy that I can, then I want to max out at 72 hours. I'm done. But when you get to 72-hour point, sometimes people will extend their fast for 5 days. I do not plan on extending my fast for 5 days. Rabia, thank you for the compliment about having willpower. My willpower is going to end probably by the morning. I haven't gotten to the 5-day point yet. One day, but this is not that fast. At about day 3, that is actually when they find that your cells themselves actually start to, like, even like bone marrow cells actually start to regenerate for themselves. So oftentimes people will continue a fast beyond 3 days to get that really deep cellular regeneration. That's not the purpose of my fast, right? I had 2 purposes. One, I wanted to do a detoxification. Number 2, I have been having a lot of digestive discomfort lately. And so I wanted to reset my digestive system. And we talked a little bit yesterday about how fasting really regenerates the microbiome of the gut, right? So they actually did one particular study where they water fast people for 7 days, right? And as a part of this study, it was a small study. I think it was about 12 people. And what they found after 7 days of doing a water fast is that a particular bacteria in their gut that is known to be associated with colon cancer significantly reduced. They did another study where they looked at the bacteria in the gut, and they did people on a 5-2 regimen. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Where they had them to eat regular for 5 days a week and then do a water fast 2 days a week, non-consecutive days. And they did 4 cycles of that. So basically they did that for an entire month. And what they found that it completely restructured all of their gut biome, and the beneficial gut biome increase, the non-beneficial or harmful bacteria decrease. And when they had them to go back to their regular eating every day after that, and a month later, they still had the reset of the gut. So this was an evidence for fasting 2 non-consecutive days a week, which was really beneficial for the gut. So for me, because I was having what I felt like wasn't my normal feeling of my gut, and normal is different for everybody. For me, that meant I had much more bloating than I normally did. My appetite was not the same. I started actually to crave things, and I never crave things. I'm the worst person to ask, do you know what you want to eat? I know men have this joke about women is like, you never ask them what they want to eat. And then you tell them, oh, so when do we go here? And they're like, no, I didn't want that. It's a joke. But for me, it's like really serious. When my family is ordering, they're like, do we want to order? We have alhamdulillah, we have a lot of halal restaurants where I live. And so they're like, do we want Indian? Do we want American food? Do we want fried chicken? Do we want, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, it literally does not matter to me. I do not have a preference. Food is nutrition. The other thing, so those were things that was unusual for me. And so that's the reason why I decided to do a 3-day water fast. Amira wants to know, when you do an extended fast, do you increase the amount of water? Do you stick to your regular amount? I generally stick to my regular amount. I don't feel the need to have to increase it. And theoretically, there's no reason why you would need to increase the amount of water. The purpose of water is for hydration. It's not going to give you fat, carbs, or proteins. So there's no reasons why you need to increase it. Oh, Deborah says she hasn't done, she's overdue for a reset and haven't done one since we did it as a group last year. Oh, okay. Maybe we should do one as a group. And I can, well, I'm doing mine now. So I'll think about doing a group one again. We have a Facebook group. It's a free Facebook group for men and women for 3-day water fasting. I'll try to put it inside of the comments when the video is done. No, you cannot have a smoothie, Trisha. When we do a 3-day water fast, it is exactly that, nothing but water for 3 days. Also, too, if people are just joining and you haven't seen the videos that I've been doing for 3 days, when this is over, you can go and scroll the profile, and I did a video yesterday and the day before. We talked about the benefits of fasting. We talked about why. We talked about the science. We talked about how it's practical. So all of those questions are already answered. All right, so today we are talking about how you want to break your fast. This can also be beneficial for people. Information can be beneficial for people who, when you are fasting the month of Ramadan, right? Sometimes our days are really, really extended and people have a hard time figuring out what to eat for iftar. Or you overslept for suhoor and you are doing an unintentional extended fast, right? All those kind of things. So one of the things that happens inside of your stomach when you are doing the extended fast is obviously the stomach does not have food. And so your stomach produces acid based on the fact that it needs to break down food. So the acid in your stomach is significantly decreased. However, it is still there. And one of the things that it's doing is it is in that renewal and repair process. It is actually thinning. We have a mucus layer lining in our stomach, and it's a part of the protective mechanism. But because acid isn't being produced, food isn't being put in there, that acid is actually thinning that lining. So if you go and say, oh, I've been fasting for 3 days, I'm going to go have a hamburger and some fries, you can make yourself really ill. So one of the side effects, or I would say the cons of doing an extended fast, is that if you don't break it properly, it can be a really bad experience. So what do we want to do in order to break the fast? Since we've been going 3 days with no food and only water, in order for us to break it. And we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about breaking it without having discomfort, because if you break it the wrong way, you can get nauseous, you can have diarrhea, you can physically feel ill because you're putting too much in your body at one time. And then we're going to also talk about how do we extend the benefits of the fast while we are actually eating food. So when we talk about the comfort and discomfort of breaking the fast, the first thing that you want to do is you want to think, how do I replenish some of the micronutrients that I have not had for 3 days, right? So some of those essential things are your electrolytes, your probiotics and prebiotics. Our gut biome is like balanced now, and we want to keep it up. We want to make sure that we are maintaining all of this beneficial changes that we've just made. So one of the best things that you can break your extended fast with is bone broth. It is really the best thing. Bone broth has lots of nutrients in it. It has electrolytes, it has minerals, and it's really light on the stomach. It also has enough fat in order for it to actually be kind of like a coating in the stomach, and it starts to build up the coating that you actually lost some of while you were doing your fast. So bone broth is actually one of the best things for you to break your fast with. Having another thing that is recommended is having just a tablespoon of vinegar. Vinegar aids in the digestive process before you start putting food inside of your belly. So for me, this evening, I will have some bone broth soup. Maybe put a few leafy greens in it, some garlic, some onions. What else am I going to put in it? Garlic, onions, and a few leafy greens. That'll probably be it. Probably like some bok choy, bone broth. And after I eat that, I'm going to wait probably about an hour, right? Just to allow my system to recognize, okay, we are eating again. All right, my stomach has to start digesting again. Then I will follow that up with a light protein. When I say light, I mean light on the stomach. I am going to have salmon because I really love salmon. But fish, any type of fish, is actually a really good light protein to start off with in your first meal. You can also have chicken, but I would not recommend that you have a red meat like beef or lamb or venison, because those tend to be harder for the body to digest. So it's harder for the body to go from not digesting any food for 3 days, and now you want to give it the hardest thing possible for it to digest, which is red meat, right? So that doesn't mean red meat is a bad thing. It means there's an appropriate time for everything. And immediately after you're done with your 3-day fast, red meat is not the best option for you to choose. Avocados, having a good fat is really, really important, right? Avocados, coconut oil, olive oil, grass-fed butter, all of those things are good things to add into your bone broth or into your vegetable or protein in order to give your body those nutrients. People who break their fast with a fat tend to have less discomfort when it comes to incorporating foods back into your body. I also recommend, which one of the things is important, is that you do try to have cooked foods, right? Sometimes people in our mind, we think a salad is healthy, so I'm going to have a salad. That's actually not really recommended when you are done with a 3-day water fast or any type of extended fast. When you have raw fruits and vegetables, your body actually has more to break down. So I would suggest that you do a green stir fry, have broccoli, have the collards and kale and spinach, and actually cook them, right? As opposed to having them raw. Raw vegetables on your tummy when you are breaking a fast can actually cause you to have stomach cramps. And so I would actually suggest that you have cooked food. The other thing that you want to consider is having some type of fermented food. Again, we want to continue to maintain the good bacteria and the good and beneficial microbiome in our gut that we've just developed throughout this fast. So having kimchi, sauerkraut, those types of things will actually be really helpful and beneficial. Don't sit huge meal as soon as you break your fast, right? Looking at the clock, okay, 72 hours, let me go. And you're having 5 different things at once. Take it slow. Your stomach will love you much more. Take it slow. So when you're done with your extended fast, you want to make sure that you are replenishing your electrolytes. So a quick review, make sure see if you can have some bone broth. And no, it doesn't matter if it's fish broth or beef broth or chicken broth, whatever kind of broth you can find. I actually found bone broth on Amazon, halal bone broth from Australia. So I think I ran out of my homemade, unless I can find a bag someplace inside of my freezer, my deep freezer. I ran out of my homemade bone broth, but I do have the one that I purchased, the halal bone broth. So I will actually be having that and making me a little soup thing to break my fast with. So now the next part is, how do you extend the benefits of the fast, right? So remember, we talked about that with the fast, the keystone, the domino that creates all of these benefits is the lowering of your insulin level. Your insulin is a domino hormone. When your insulin level lowers, it triggers over a half a dozen other hormones to actually respond to that lowering of the insulin. That is the reason why what you don't want to do when you break your extended fast is to load up on processed and artificial foods. We do not want to break the fast with things that are coming inside of a package, right? Super important. You don't want to go back to unhealthy eating habits, meaning you're eating processed foods, you're eating chips, you're eating cookies and cakes. You also don't want to go back to high carb foods. Another thing that we do not want to do when we break the fast is break it with something like pasta or a baked potato or French fries. If you break your fast with a high carb food, you are sending your insulin levels skyrocketing. And all of that autophagy, all of that good bacteria, all of those processes that was helping your body is going to significantly decrease. Autophagy and insulin cannot exist on the same level. Every time your insulin level goes up, autophagy goes down. Anytime your insulin level goes down and can stay down, autophagy goes up. So you cannot detox on a cellular level by eating a high carbohydrate on all your meals, right? So this is why I follow a ketogenic diet, and I teach people to follow a ketogenic diet for health reasons, right? Because that is important. So should you go keto after a 3-day? It just depends on you, whether you want to do. But what you should not do is you should not do the extreme. It's not one or the other. It's not, hey, I'm going to eat all the pasta and bread that I want, or I'm going to be keto. There is an in-between. You don't have to eat pasta and bread, but you don't necessarily have to go keto unless you're really focused on improving your health, right? So you need to make sure that you are still being really cognizant that you're not eating things that is going to send your insulin level skyrocketing. And that is not just for people who have diabetes or pre-diabetes. We all have insulin. It is a natural human hormone, and it is the linchpin in so many of the issues that we have in terms of weight gain, also PCOS, diabetes. Now they're considering dementia is being called type 3 diabetes. It is related to our insulin level constantly being high. So it is the linchpin to so many diseases. It is also the linchpin to creating inflammation in the body, right? So when your insulin level lowers, that is when the anti-inflammatory markers actually pick up. So understanding that insulin is absolutely essential to your health and your well-being is what you should take away from the fast. It is not just stopping you from eating calories, it's stopping you from eating so that your insulin level lowers. And once your insulin level lowers, then all of the other beneficial things will kick in. All right. So when you break your fast, when you want to continue in eating, what I recommend that you really focus on eating proteins and eating fats, right? I'm going to say a very unpopular opinion, and I know people are going to get on me about this, but that's okay. I'm here for it to defend it. Carbohydrates are not an essential nutrient, which means essential nutrient is something that the human being absolutely must have, or it will eventually lead to death, right? If you decided that you're never eating fat again, right? You don't want to have any type of fat for the rest of your life, you will eventually die. We must have fat as a nutrient. It is an essential nutrient. If you decide I will never ever eat protein again, right? I'm not going to have any type of protein, whether it comes in a form of a bean or if it comes in a form of chicken, you will eventually die, because the human being absolutely must have protein to live. Those are essential nutrients. If you decide I will never ever have another gram of carbohydrate again, you will be fine. You will not die, right? Because it is not essential. So when I say it is not an essential nutrient, I mean it is not essential to life. It is not life sustaining. When you are talking about foods that are going to continue allowing you to have the benefits of the fast, one of the things that you should know is that a ketogenic diet was literally developed to simulate fasting while allowing you to eat, right? So people will say, well, I'm never going to eat again so that I can lose weight. By the way, as I reiterated in the previous slides, the purpose of the 3-day fast is not weight loss. Yes, I did lose some weight. I'm sure plenty of it was water weight, and I'll probably see it again in the next couple of days. Some of it was fat, which is always welcome, but that was not the sole purpose of it. It is not what I recommend when people say, oh, I want to lose weight. What can I do? Right? I think somebody posted something about like, how can I lose weight without exercising? I don't answer that question. Because if you don't want to exercise, then you ain't serious about losing weight for health reasons. So don't ask me that question, because I don't answer it. Any type of weight loss program must eventually include exercise. There is no quick fix. You can't do a 3-day program and then, oh my gosh, I didn't eat for 3 days. Now I'm at my ideal weight. Nope, don't happen that way. You did not gain the weight in 3 days. You're not going to lose the weight in 3 days. That is not the purpose of a 3-day water fast. The purpose of a 3-day water fast is for health reasons, meaning detoxification, autophagy, cellular regeneration, microbiome balance. That is the reasons for a 3-day water fast. All right. For everybody who is asking questions about what you can have, what you can do, we talked about that on previous videos. So I'm going to refer you to scroll the profile and look at the lives we did yesterday and the day before. So that is how, so if you have any questions about breaking a fast or anything referring to the 3rd day, I will look at some questions. I've heard some people still take their electrolytes during a water fast. Does that break the fast? What about your daily vitamins? Taking electrolytes does not break the fast, but you do not need them. Actually, I think I answered that question for somebody on Instagram too, is that it's 3 days, right? In our mind, we have been convinced that, oh my God, I must eat every 4 hours. Oh my God, I'm going to die if I don't eat. Like, you are not going to, your body, if you take one thing away from this, please take away that your body is an amazing machine that has the ability to heal itself. That is what I want you to take away from this. You do not need to supplement it with things because you're going 3 days without food. In the larger scheme of things, 3 days is nothing. You're any type of nutrient deficit by not eating for 3 days. You're not going to, definitely won't die. Inshallah, you are, so 3 days is nothing in the scheme of things. So you do not need to do any additional supplementation or electrolytes or this or that if you're just doing a 3-day fast. If you are taking supplements, you can continue the supplements that you take. You can continue them, except gummies. Do not take gummies while you're doing your fast. Any gummy vitamin. Gummy vitamins are made with sweetener. They are made with most of the time cane sugar, right? What that does is that every sugar you put in your mouth is going to raise your insulin level. If your insulin level raises, then remember what we just said, autophagy lowers. So you are actually going to limit the health benefits by taking gummy vitamins. So you definitely, I personally am not a fan of gummy vitamins, period, but that's just my thing because I'm really conscious of hidden sugars. And I think that's just one more source of hidden sugars, even if it's only 5 grams, right? It's just one more source of hidden sugars that we're putting inside of our diet. So I personally am not a fan of gummy vitamins. But if you choose to take gummy vitamins, you don't want to take them while you're doing your fast because it is going to be sugar in your body. You can take you're taking capsules, that's absolutely fine. If you're taking tablets, make sure that you are looking at the ingredients because sometimes they will put sugar inside of tablets. So you have to make sure you look at the ingredients you are trying. Remember, our goal is to lower the insulin level. And I am going to actually end this with saying that I am not a doctor. I am not a medical doctor, and nothing that I have said is to prevent, treat, or diagnose any illness. I am, what I do during my videos is talk to you about what the science says, how to apply it practically to our lives, and how to allow our body to heal itself. Right? So really important that if you have any diagnosed illness that you always consult with your medical professional. And I emphasize diagnosed by your doctor, not diagnosed by WebMD, not diagnosed from your grandma's sister's friend who used to work as a secretary in a doctor's office. I mean, actual medical professional people. Sometimes our access to knowledge is really messing us up. So if you feel like you have an illness, go to a doctor. If you feel like something is off, go to a doctor and really heed their advice. All right. And that would answer the question about medication, Mariam, and taking your prescribed medication with your required food. So if that, no more questions other than that, right? So this advice is for people who think that that a 3-day water fast might be beneficial to them. How do you end your fast? We talked about taking in bone broth, cooked vegetables, fermented foods like sauerkraut. We talked about that in order to extend the benefits of the fast, we want to significantly reduce the amount of carbohydrates so that we're not raising our insulin level, which is going to just halt all of the benefits that we have. Consider the amount of fats, eat more fat, moderate amount of protein, low carbohydrates. You knew I was going to say that because I am an advocate of low carb lifestyle. So hopefully my day will go well. It's a beautiful day. We had a huge rainstorm yesterday and it is a beautiful day out. So I will have the opportunity to walk, and I also have to probably go get me some salmon. All right. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum.